Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be discussing about podcasting for B2B tech and SaaS marketers. First of all, thank you very much for watching this video, and I'm excited to talk to you about the role of podcast in B2B marketing. First, I want to share certain statistics from Backlinko. According to Backlinko, there are about 464 million podcast listeners worldwide, and they spend about 7 hours per week to their favorite podcast app. And we are seeing there is a continuous growth in terms of podcast users, and today we see about 2024 about 464 compared to about less than 300 million in 2019. So if you look at it, podcast for B2B and tech and SaaS marketers could be a good way, right? I mean, there are several technology companies who have their own podcast. I think HubSpot is an example how they are tapping into podcasts and connecting with the audience and decision makers and the community and all of that. I'm sure there are more examples and all of that. So how should we go about it? Right? Let's look at the step-by-step guide and advanced strategies. Right. I think it is important to look at your focus area, right? As part of your identifying your niche and audience, right? Narrow down on your focus to a specific tech or SaaS sub niche, right? For example, as a tech or SaaS company, do you want to create a podcast on cybersecurity? Or do you want to create a podcast on marketing automation or cloud computing or service now? I don't know. Just think about it, right? I mean, look at your target market and narrow down your focus. So that will be a good way. I mean, I was recently listening to an interview, and one of the thing that I learned today is that there is a lot of competition. So you don't actually look at just the niche, but you go one step down. So you just don't look at marketing, but can you look at marketing for tech companies? Or don't just look at SEO, but can you look at SEO for e-commerce, right? Or some such, right? And second, look at pain points and interest areas, right? Can you research your target audiences, challenges and goals and interest, right? And using surveys, competitor analysis and social media listening. Third point is creating content differentiation. Can you analyze existing podcasts in your niche and identify gaps you can fill with unique perspectives, formats and guest expertise, right? Those are some steps for you to create identifying your niche and audience, starting from your industry focus to pain point and interest. Third, content differentiation. The second phase is to really craft compelling episodes. How will you go about creating compelling episodes? What's your theme and format, right? Can you choose a theme that aligns with your niche and audience, right? I'm from the early discussions that you had with your target audience, from the social listening that you did, from the analysis research, can you create a theme and format that aligns with you? How can you stand out, right? The content is king, we all know that, but now it's value driven content is king, right? So can you focus on actionable insights, right? Industry trends and expert advice and practical tips, right? Today we don't need superficial content, and especially with the advent of AI, you can get a lot of generic content and superficial content very easily. So how can you create a value driven content? Can you take some content and then add value to it? I remember how in the old days we had a skyscraper technique. So you looked at the content that is already there and you build on top of that content, and that became the skyscraper technique. Can you use the same thing here, right? So if you look at AI to create content, and then you add value on top of that content and then take it to the market, right? And we keep talking about how the tech is filled with jargons, and how we need to use storytelling and relatable narratives to keep our listeners hooked, right? Can we use examples, case studies, and personal anecdotes, right, to kind of illustrate your points, right? And one of the most important part of crafting compelling episode is also high quality production, right? Invest in good audio equipments, editing softwares, and background music if your audience prefers that, right? Otherwise you can leave background music, but ensure that it's a professional and polished video. I think identifying niche and crafting or creating compelling episode is only half job, right? I mean, the other half is really about promoting a podcast. How can you create snippets and clips and key takeaways, and use cross promotional strategy on various platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. Now I'm active on both platforms, LinkedIn and YouTube. Not so much on Twitter, not so much on Discord, not so much on Twitch. So if you see, I mean, can you use 2 or 3 platforms to cross promote, right, and reach to your target audience? Second is, can you pitch yourself as a guest on other relevant podcasts, or can you invite other people to your program, right? So that's an effective strategy, right? Cross promotion and inviting guests, or you becoming guest on other relevant podcasts. So I see that ConvertKit regularly appears on others' podcasts. That's a good example, right? Now content marketing, right? How do you use other contents like blogs or articles or infographics, and then use them to drive traffic and create awareness, right? Second, I think the fourth point is also talk about the paid advertising. Can you consider targeted social media ads, right? And then use social media sponsorships, right? Partner with complementary brands to offer exclusive deals. So if there are complementary brands, promote that brand on your channel and ask them to promote your brand on their channel. So it's a way, you kind of partner with other brands, and then promote to each other's audience group, right? So you leverage sponsorship. That's one part of it. Second part is to see how you can promote each other on each other's channel, right? Second, so we spoke some of the strategy, but then there are some advanced strategies like creating interactive elements, live Q&As, polls, and contests to boost audience engagement. You can also look at community building. Create a dedicated online community where listeners can connect, discuss episodes, and share ideas. And that's something that I'm trying to do right now. I'm actually trying to create a newsletter for marketers. So I'll leave the link in the descriptions, and make sure you join there, and then we can create a community for our own B2B tech marketers and all of that. You will get weekly newsletters as part of that community, and then you will also get invites to workshops, virtual workshops, and mini courses, and access to templates and guides and all of that. It's a new thing, but I think I'll be talking more about it in my upcoming videos and all of that. Then can you repurpose content, transform podcast into blogs and video summaries and infographics and all of that. So those are some ideas that I have for you to create podcast for B2B and tech and SaaS marketers, starting with identifying your niche focus, by looking at pain points and interests, then looking at creating content differentiation, look at how your content can stand out, then creating a very compelling episode by looking at themes and episodes and value driven content, how you can create content and then add value on top of that, similar to our skyscraper technique, and use storytelling and high quality production to create a compelling episode. And then use, that's only half. The other half is promoting your podcast, social media platforms, guest appearances, content marketing, paid advertising, leveraging sponsorship and cross promoting each other, right? You appearing in someone else's podcast and them appearing in your podcast and all of that. So that way you promote each other and all of that. And then advanced strategies including interactive elements and community building and repurposing contents. I hope you found it valuable, and I look forward to seeing in the next video. Until then, cheers.